They've almost got to go together and identify what their individual 1v1 battles are to increase the chances of trying to nick that ball out the pitch, shooting and scoring. If they manage to pinch the ball in their opponent's half higher up the pitch and carry out a successful high press, we'll give them 3 points for the goal. So again, that hat-trick goal, and which child doesn't like to score a hat-trick in football? Hello and a warm welcome. My name is Matt Jones and I'm an FA Regional Coach Development Officer. This is session 5 of a 6-week session programme. This 6-week session programme is aimed at supporting players aged 7 to 11 around stopping goals, pressing and challenging. Hello and welcome back to week 5. This week it's all about the players working together to try and win the ball high up the pitch to break and score. A term that we like to use, which is child-friendly terminology that sells it to them, is how can we hunt in packs to try and win the ball back? So practice 1 this week is almost like going back in time to week 3 where we played handball. So 2 parallel games running alongside one another. The only difference with this one is that the players can run with the ball. So if they want to pass the ball to their mate, they can do, because then there's an opportunity for the team out of possession who's defending to try and intercept. If a player gets the ball tagged, then there must be a turnover. But as the player can now run, this is going to challenge the defending team to think about the timing of their press, but also the angle of their press. So are they dictating where they want their opponent to go? It will also start to challenge the players who are around the ball and away from the ball in terms of distances around how they're supporting each other. Starting to embed that habit of how they work together as a team of 3 to defend the space and or goal, and how they might start to work together to put the other team under pressure, bringing to life that hunting in pack mentality. So it goes from being a 1v1 to a 3v3 game of cat and mouse, trying to figure the other team out. So that was practice 1, which was handball. The ball's now going to go on the deck for practice 2 as we work through 3 different scoring rounds. So practice 2 is again split into 3 scoring rounds. So we've got 2 parallel games running side by side. So what's happening on this pitch is happening on that pitch. Just remember to mix and match the teams up for variety. So again, we're going to incentivise the high press here. How are we going to do that? Well, if the yellows take it into the blue half and the blues manage to intercept it and or pinch the ball through engaging a 1v1 duel, and they take it up to the other end, shoot and score, it's only worth 1 because they've intercepted or stolen the ball back in their own half. Because we want to incentivise the high press, blues have actually got to come out. So if we think about the things we're emphasising in week 5 is about hunting in packs and timing of the collective press. They've almost got to go together and identify what their individual 1v1 battles are to increase the chances of trying to nick that ball high up the pitch, shooting and scoring. If they manage to pinch the ball in their opponent's half higher up the pitch and carry out a successful high press, we'll give them 3 points for the goal. So again, that hat-trick goal, and which child doesn't like to score a hat-trick in football? So round 2 of practice number 2 is the 5-second challenge to win the ball back and then try and shoot and score. So if I demonstrate here, if blues have the ball, yellows manage to intercept it or tackle through a 1v1 duel, the clock starts ticking for the blue team. Now the coach can emphasise this by counting down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or the blues can count in the heads up to 5, which means they have to work together, linked to the theme of hunting in packs. If they manage to then win the ball back within those 5 seconds, and then they manage to dribble, shoot and score before they then lose possession, they get the chance to roll the dice, which will be by the side of the pitch. So if number 7 is the one who manages to steal the ball in a 1v1 duel or intercepts, and he scores without losing possession, comes over to the side of the pitch, rolls the dice. Remember what I said in week 3, if you manage to forget your dice because we're all human, or you're driving to the coaching session tonight listening to this thinking I'll give that a go but I don't have a dice, you can just get 6 of the same coloured cones, write 1 to 6 on individual cones, turn them over and ask the players to reveal them. Just make sure you jumble the cones up so they don't get to know which one's number 6 and which one's number 1. But it's a great game of double jeopardy because you could score, having intercepted within 5 seconds or won it back within 5 seconds, and still only get 1 point. So it makes it extra spicy for the players involved. So the third round of practice number 2 Again, retrieval from what we did in week 3, but repetition is a good thing to check and challenge what players remember and what learning they're carrying forward is. This is the 1v1 lock-on round. So if we've got 3 and 3, they may go together as a pairing. We might have 7 and 7 go together as a pairing, and in this case, 8 and 11. As mentioned in week 3, you might be really clever about how you get your pairings here. So it might be 2 very similar size players in terms of height, so you've got that matchup. Equally, it might be 2 very gifted technically and tactical players who are matched up together. So think about where that player's at on their journey and how you can get some individual learning and returns from this 3v3 practice. Once you're happy with your matchups, this is the way it works. That player is staying with that player as a 1v1 battle. Now in the case of here, the yellow 7's got it, so the blue is thinking about timing, angle, distance of their press. 3 and 8 can also be now thinking about how they are starting to predict where their opponent is likely to go. In the case of the yellow number 3, supporting angle to receive that ball to pass. The 3 is then maybe thinking, is there a chance for me to intercept? So they're thinking around their body position before the ball is played. Or if the ball manages to land with the number 3, they're then thinking about pressing on first contact. So again, the engagement and the timing of that 1v1 duel, bringing together some of the technical detail around challenging for the ball when you're faced with a 1v1 situation. So the game will carry on with those 1v1 matchups taking place all over the pitch, which might involve some greater physical returns depending on the movement of the individual players. So encourage your players to be clever and creative, both with the ball and without the ball, because that's going to challenge the team that's defending. So now we move into practice 3. So we had 2 parallel games previously of 3v3 games. Well, I've taken those 12 players and we've put them into one practice on one pitch playing a 6v6 with a goalkeeper and obviously 5 outfield players on each pitch. In terms of some organisational things for you to get set up, so there's plenty of spare footballs dotted around the outside, a couple of yards past for safety. That's because we want very quick transitions to keep high ball rolling time when the ball does go out of play. If the ball does go out of play, players can either bring it in through either a dribble in or they can play a pass to a mate. So that's how the game's organised. Also important to note that the game is split up into 3 equal thirds. So a defensive third and a middle third and obviously an attacking third, depending on which way you're looking at it. First round for the scoring. Again, we want to encourage high press and hunting in packs. So if I just use blues as an example, if they happen to have possession in their end third, which is their defensive third, and the yellows manage to set a trap and hunt in a pack at just the right time, thinking about timing of press, locking onto your opponent, angle of approach, and they manage to pinch the ball in that end third and shoot and score, or combine and shoot and score through working together, they're going to get 5 points. If they manage to win the ball back in the middle third from the blues, connect, combine, dribble, shoot and score, then they'll get 3. If they manage to win possession back in the end third, where blues might be on the attack and they pinch it close to their own goal, and again, connect and combine and shoot and score, they're only going to get 1. So the scoring system is incentivising trying to win the ball as high at the pitch as possible for an effective high press, which is what we're going after in week 5. So round 2 of practice 3, I've nicknamed 1 point to 3 point. So let me explain. We're not necessarily using the thirds in terms of a scoring system, but we would leave them in as a point of reference so that players can see where they might inflict a high press, where it might be a middle of the pitch steal, or it might be a low block steal. So leave those in because it's going to help them in terms of their pitch geography. If I use the blue team as an example for scoring, let's say they manage to combine or dribble, shoot and score into the yellow goal, they're going to get 1 point for the goal. However, this is where the title of the game 1 to 3 comes in. The ball is then going to be played out from the blue goal because they've scored, so we're going to reward the fact that they've scored. If they manage to keep possession of the ball when it's played out for 6 seconds, the goal that they scored goes from being 1 point to 3 points. Why would we do that? Well, pennies probably dropped. Because we're working on hunting in packs and inflicting the high press, the yellows, because they wouldn't want the blues to get 3 points for the same goal, they would hopefully look to engage as quickly as possible, apply pressure, time the collective press hunt in a pack and try and intercept and or pinch the ball back in a 1v1 duel. If they manage to do that, the goal that the Blues scored only counts as 1. If the yellows then dribble, shoot and score, or connect and combine, shoot and score, the same happens for the yellows. The next ball would come from their goal, and if they can keep possession of the ball for up to 6 seconds, their goal will be worth 3, but the Blues would then obviously look to come out and try and put their opponent under pressure. So it's really trying to incentivise the hunting in pack and winning the ball as high up the pitch as possible. Okay, round 3 of practice 3 is what we would call a normal game. So there's no extra point system. I would still leave in those thirds as a point of reference, but as you're allowing the practice to take care of itself and there's lots of free play, maybe think about the type of coaching interventions you might use. So a swoop in, swoop out, or you might bring out an individual player and you have a chat with them as a coach just for 2 seconds. It's an opportunity maybe to have an individual moment. Equally, you might use a stop, stand still, paint a picture. Just be careful of the timing of your interventions, especially as we're referring to players aged 7 to 11, because they will see it as a disruption, even though you might want to get some technical, tactical information across. Example of some of that tech-tac information might be when you're looking to engage with an opponent, think about the timing of your press, the angle of your press. As you look to shut your opponent down and deny them time and space, think about hitting the brakes so they don't fly right by. Think about your body position, being on an angle so that you can look to dictate play, using the byline to maybe narrow down the angle. If you know that you've got support inside, you might show them inside to a mate, so it then becomes a 2v2, or maybe isolate it, so it then becomes a momentary 2v1. So those might be the example of some technical, tactical detail that you would lift out in the final round, which is a free play game. It's also a chance for you to stand back as a coach, not intervene, and see what they can recall from that week's learning, or indeed the previous week's learning from the programme that you've been working through so far. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you've enjoyed it and you'd like to access more resources, please visit our England Football Learning website or the England Football Learning YouTube channel for more information.